What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. As I said in my intro video, my mission is to elevate the way that we view motocross training. And I also really want to be a part of the next generation of trainers that are educated, qualified, and who create their training programs based on science-proven methods. In order to do that, we need to sort of check in and see where we stand currently. So today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into what the scientific literature has to say about motocross training. The two main sources of research articles that I use are Google Scholar and PubMed, and that's for the simple fact that they normally do a really good job about posting free PDFs, so I don't have to pay like $50 just to rent the article for 24 hours. So between Google Scholar and PubMed, I looked at probably 20 to 30 different research articles, and I narrowed my search down to probably the best 3 or 4 that had sort of the best sample size and overall study structure. Okay, so the first study we look at is neuromuscular and blood lactate response after a motocross training session in amateur riders. So the main goal of this study was to evaluate the influence of a motocross training session on neuromuscular response and blood lactate in amateur riders. So pretty much they want to see how taxing it was to the anaerobic system and the neuromuscular system. They had a relatively small sample size, 9 motocross riders, and pretty much what they did is they ran a 20-minute moto at a motocross track, and they measured the metabolic demand with blood lactate concentrations before and immediately following at increments of 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and 10 minutes immediately after the 20-minute moto. In order to measure the neuromuscular response, they completed a hand grip strength test and a horizontal jump test, and that was 10 minutes following the 20-minute moto. They say that there was significant decreases in hand grip strength, but they saw no significant difference in horizontal jump ability, and they did see a significant increase in blood lactate values. So they found 6.5 millimoles of lactate in the blood following the 20-minute moto, approximately 8 minutes after they finished. So then the conclusion of the study, amateur motocross riders had significant anaerobic metabolism demands and had reduced hand grip strength following a training session, meaning the 20-minute moto. These data suggest an importance of physical training aimed at improving anaerobic and neuromuscular performance of the upper limbs in amateur motocross riders. Okay, with all that in mind, let's move on to the next study. All right, the next study we look at is cardiorespiratory and neuromuscular responses to motocross riding. So this study looked at the physiological and neuromuscular responses during motocross riding at individual maximal speed together with riding-induced changes in maximal isometric force production. Again, pretty small sample size. They had 7 A-level riders and 5 hobby-level riders. They performed a 30-minute riding test on motocross track and then a maximal muscle strength and oxygen uptake test in a laboratory. So in this study, they talk about the average heart rate while the athlete is riding, and they say the average heart rate activity during racing is right around 90 to 100% of maximum capacity. They say that the reason why the heart rate spikes so much is because of the isometric muscle work and the psycho-emotional factors. So again, in this study, the riders performed a 30-minute riding test on a track, and then they also went immediately and performed tests of maximal muscle strength of the lower and upper extremities, as well as oxygen uptake, which is a VO2 max test, in the laboratory setting. The whole study was aimed at determining the cardiorespiratory, metabolic, and neuromuscular loading induced by motocross riding. So in the discussion, the article just kind of says, the present studies show clearly that significant alterations in cardiorespiratory and neuromuscular functions could be observed due to motocross riding. Thank you. The study also said that the riding session led to significant reductions in isometric hand grip strength, arm flexion, and leg extension. Then they go on to say for the practical applications, the result of the study suggests motocross riders should train not only aerobic and anaerobic capacity, but also use strength and power training of different muscle groups to improve their riding success in racing. The next study we look at was physiological, biochemical, and functional changes induced by simulated 30-minute off-road competitive motocross heat. This one had the biggest sample size yet at 15 motocross riders. The age range was pretty wide from age 21 to 35, 36. So here they took these motocross riders. You can see on this graphic here, they did a laboratory pre-test, which was a VO2 max test on a treadmill, where they got the VO2 max variables and the heart rate max. They also did a body composition check. And then 2 days later, they performed the motocross protocol. Beforehand, they did a hand grip strength test, the arm wind gate, which is like if you're cycling with your arms. And then they also used that to obtain lactate measurements. During, they measured heart rate and lactate levels. And then after the motocross protocol, after the 30-minute moto, they tested lactate, took an RPE score, took a pain score, and then they redid the hand grip strength test and the arm wind gate. If you take a look at figure 2, this is a representative graph of the heart rate of one of the riders during the heat. You can see their heart rate starts right around the 123, 125 mark. It quickly elevates within the first 5 minutes up to between 175, probably 180, and then it maintains that level or goes up for the entire rest of the 30-minute moto, nearing 200 towards the end. They said the motocross heat significantly decreased the maximal capacity to produce isometric strength. So this is probably their grip strength test. They also said that for the arm wind gate test, significant impairments were observed in all absolute and relative parameters measured after the race when compared to the baseline. And overall, as a conclusion for the article, they say that this study shows that motocross races impose elevated demands at various physiological components, including cardiovascular, muscular, metabolic, and hormonal, that should be taken into account by the coaches in the design of training programs. And the last thing I found through Google actually was under Google Patents. This isn't actually a research article. I thought you guys might find this kind of interesting. They actually submitted a patent for a handlebar assembly that had a rotatable throttle grip and brake levers, which were under tension, that were utilized to build up hand and wrist forearm strength. So we take a look here. You guys can tell it's just a handlebar assembly. Looks like it clamps down. It has grips, brake levers, and then adjustable tension. And this is used to kind of simulate motocross training. I find this to be, I don't want to use the word useless, but why not just go out and ride? Unless you're looking for a way to kind of bring that equipment into the gym, in which case I feel like there's still other ways to do that without building this, whatever this is. So after looking at all the scientific research out there, what does this mean? What does this mean for us, the motocross community? Well, to me, what it means is that we're behind. We're playing catch up. Most of the high-profile trainers that train the pros right now are retired pros that kind of rely on their training experience. They don't necessarily have the education or the qualifications to do the gym training. And to me, this isn't meant to be a knock on them by any means, but the sport is just evolving too fast. That's not sufficient anymore. We have to be better than that. The main takeaway that I want you guys to have from this mini deep dive into what the scientific research says about motocross training is that all the articles do a great job of highlighting one simple statement, and that is motocross is hard. They talk about how it's very anaerobic and also aerobic. It requires power, full body strength, really intense heart rate levels. All of these things need to be taken into account when we're designing a training program. However, it's almost like, thank you, didn't really need you to confirm what I already knew. Anybody who's ever raced or even ridden at the practice track can tell you that motocross is hard, right? We all know that it's so physically demanding. What these articles are missing is they don't give us any sort of practical application. They don't tell us how to apply these results to our training programs. We do have guys like Alden Baker. He's doing a phenomenal job applying science to his training programs with his athletes, but they play their training secret so close to the vest that it's nearly impossible for anybody outside of that inner circle to get wind of what they're doing. And that still leaves this huge knowledge gap for the rest of the motocross community. It makes it difficult for us to better the training culture when the guy who's arguably the most successful trainer in the history of the sport, he doesn't do what I'm doing right now. He doesn't come out and tell you what he's doing that's working and why it works. So if you want to learn how to put science in your motocross training, you're in the right place. I'm here to kind of help bridge the gap between scientific research and practical training advice. In my future videos, the goal is to get rid of the confusion that is pretty much inevitable in a world that is so oversaturated with information. It's almost like I'm trying to act like kind of a filter between the abundance of information out there and you guys. It's tough because this is almost kind of like the gift and curse of knowledge. I have so much that I want to teach you guys, but I'm kind of limited through the way that we communicate. In this case, it's through video, and this video, and really all my future videos, is just a tiny snapshot into my views on training theory as well as my training experience. The only real way for me to get you guys all the answers that you're looking for is for us to just have a discussion, have a conversation, right? So please leave a comment, ask me a question, send me an email, send me a direct message on Instagram. We're on this journey together, so I want you guys to know that I'm always trying to find the best way to provide as much value to you as possible. All right, guys, that'll pretty much do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like what I'm trying to do here, please take 5 seconds, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, show your support, let me know, just how big and strong this community really is. I'll see you guys next time.